the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Let the record show that the witnesses all answered in the affirmative.
Based on my experience, I'm here to tell you that the Delaware U.S. Attorney's Office and Department of Justice handling the Hunter Biden tax investigation was very different from any other case in my 14 years at the IRS. At every stage, decisions were made that benefited the subject of this investigation. For example, prosecutors concealed contents of Hunter Biden's laptop from investigators. DOJ slow-walked steps to include interviews, serving document requests, and executing search warrants. Warrants that were ready as early as April of 2020, but were delayed until after the November 2020 election and never pursued.
In the Criminal Tax Manual, Chapter 10, found on the DOJ website, Tax Division policy states that cases involving individuals who fail to file tax returns or pay a tax, but who also commit acts of evasion or obstruction should be charged as felonies to avoid inequitable treatment. In early August of 2022, federal prosecutors from the Department of Justice Tax Division drafted a 99-page memorandum. In so, they were recommending for approval felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years. That did not happen here, and I am not sure why.
What were the Bidens selling? Nothing but influence and access to the Biden network. This is an influence peddling scheme to enrich the Bidens. We need to know whether Joe Biden is compromised by these schemes and if our national security is threatened.
The American people expect answers about whether the federal government is treating all taxpayers equally or if the wealthy and politically connected get special treatment. Our committees are working together to get to the bottom of this abuse of power, and will work tirelessly to do so and to make sure it doesn't ever happen again. Americans should not have to accept two tiers of justice in this country. One if your last name is Biden, and one for everybody else. I want to thank both whistleblowers for coming forward publicly and for your testimony today.
Now, unlike President Trump's blatant abuse of the rule of law and the relationship between the president and DOJ, there's no evidence that President Biden has involved himself in any way in the investigation into his own son, an investigation that's been overseen by Trump's appointed U.S. attorney. No matter what my GOP colleagues say, and I appreciate the testimony of our witnesses today, there is no evidence that Hunter Biden has received any kind of official favoritism in this prosecution for being Joe Biden's son.
I want to congratulate my colleagues from across the aisle for gathering us here today, almost distracting us from the biggest investigation that is going on right now in our country and in our nation's history involving the former president and the front runner for the Republican nomination, who is currently facing a 37-count indictment this week, and maybe 2 weeks from now more, and maybe 2 weeks from then more. But we're spending our time talking about Hunter Biden, someone who has already pleaded guilty to not filing his taxes, having a gun charge.
There is a hearing, House Oversight Committee chaired by James Comer, and he has before the committee these two individuals who work for the IRS. They've invoked whistleblower status, and they've alleged that there's been preferential treatment that has been given to Hunter Biden. Is there any reason why those allegations should not be believed from your point of view?
So look, my colleague at the White House Counsel has addressed this, so I certainly will refer you to him. But a couple of things I do want to say. The president respects the rule of law. He respects the independence of the Department of Justice as it relates to their conduct in investigation. That's something that we say over and over from here, and you've heard from the president specifically. On this case, let's not forget, this has been led by a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney. Let's not forget that. And the president has said, we have said that he has not been involved. And so, look, what I can say is just taking a step back and looking at what the president is even doing today, he is going to focus on how we can continue to do the work of the American people, how we can continue to lower cost, right? And he's taking on big corporations who are price gouging the American people. And so, that's going to be his focus. That's what he's going to continue to focus on. Let's not forget, in the midterms, that was the focus that Republicans said that they wanted to do. They wanted to run a midterm, or their message during the midterm is, how do we lower costs for the American people? It doesn't seem like that's their focus right now. Their focus is continuing to do political stunts. That's what they want to do, but that's not what the president is focusing on. You're going to hear from him in a few minutes about that. Thanks, everybody.